Hi, so today I'm going to be talking to you about the physical environment in the classroom and how that can impact the students in the area. I found this a very interesting topic because I personally experienced some interesting classrooms. The teachers out there can relate to this. Walking into a classroom and being able to see literally a Pinterest classroom, so that means like there's color, there's organization, students know where everything is so they can get resources easily. Everything's labeled on the walls, compared to classrooms potentially that might be a little less organized. And I found this a very interesting topic because I tend to be a person who struggles with sometimes organization. So I figured, you know what, this should be an interesting thing to look at, and so I decided to look at it. Some areas that I focused on were classroom layout, classroom walls, student input in classroom design, and inclusion in the classroom. So the inclusion kind of started to stray off of the classroom, I guess, design itself. It kind of looked at more what teachers could do, resource-wise, to be inclusive, but beyond that, most of the stuff was what you could put up on the walls to use, stuff like that. So in the classroom. So I remember I walked into a grade 3-4 split classroom, and it was a very, very interesting classroom. I love the color teal. So you walk right into a classroom, and there's teal borders around everything. Everything's teal color coordinated. There's books everywhere, organized though, but there's books for students to use. There's bins. Each student has a spot to put all their items in. And I think that just looking at how the class reacted, they knew what the structure was, they knew what was expected of them, they knew what was asked of them. I found that was beneficial, and that was something I want to strive towards, to have that organized classroom. So I figured, okay, I know what I want now, but how can I get there? So I looked at Pinterest because I love Pinterest. I use Pinterest for everything. So I went online and I decided to start using Pinterest, and resource after resource I'm flipping through and pinning things. And I found a couple of really cool ideas that I wanted to share with you. So the first cool idea was, do you know those drawers, those plastic, I guess, shelving drawers that you can get that have 4 or 5 different compartments? They're about waist high. Well, I saw those being used as resources for each group of desks. So you'd have 4 or 5 groups in a classroom with 4 or 5 tables per group, and beside that was this not Tupperware, this container filing cabinet. That's probably the best way to describe it. Plastic filing cabinet where students could put whatever they needed for the day in there, or teachers could even put stuff in there for the students. And I found that beneficial because if students don't have a desk that has a compartment underneath it, or if the students have extra items and things that they need, then they can put that in there rather than getting up, down, moving around. I guess that could be good as well, but rather than if they're in the middle of something and they need to get something quickly, it's easier just to grab it out of that rather than going to their bag and stuff like that. So I really like that idea. I also like the idea of having a spot in the room where the students can go to for quiet time to do work, as well as to do readings, put a couple bean bags in there. I really like the idea of having something cozy. I know not a couch isn't always realistic to have, but it'd be pretty awesome to have a couch in the classroom. Stuff that the kids feel comfortable, that they can sit down, that they can read, that they can explore their thoughts rather than get distracted by the environment. And so I really like that for classroom layout. So I started to look to the classroom walls after looking at like how I wanted to lay out the room. And I found that it was so important to showcase student work on the walls, and to be organized on the walls as well. Because showcasing student work doesn't have to be amazing work. It has to be something that they're proud of. So I really like the idea of students being able to choose a piece of art, piece of work throughout the week that they're really proud of. Sorry, that's my alarm. A piece of work that they're really proud of, and then put it up on the wall, because that's amazing. Like, who wouldn't want to showcase something that they're proud of on the wall? And it doesn't have to be everyone has the same thing, but it's something that they're proud of. Another thing I really liked, which I've actually seen in my placement, is a graffiti wall. And so using either blackboard paint or just a black sheet of paper, students can take a permanent marker and they can graffiti on the wall. So making sure that it's not any wall in the classroom, because that could get bad, but specifically that wall. They can graffiti like their favorite quote, something that they've learned, some motto that they live by, or mantra that they live their life by, and kind of share that with other people. It was neat the way that they did it on Pinterest, because they use book quotes. So then you can also tie in like literacy within that, and kind of sharing like the meaning behind the quotes. And I find that so beneficial, because it kind of shares a bit of who you are with the other students in the classroom. Student input in classroom design. This I found to be a bit tougher to research. I thought it would be easy to find ways to include student input within the classroom, but it wasn't actually that simple. I kind of had to divide this into parent ideas that they had. I think for this one, it would have been easier if I had like the students actually there, and I could ask them questions. Okay, like, what would you like to have around your house, or not around your house, around the classroom, and like what would you like to see around the classroom, stuff like that. Because when they're actually telling me, then I think it's better than going on Pinterest for that one. But I was able to find some cool cardboard art and cardboard ideas, which I could put up on the walls, and then have students like design and decorate and color those, so that they're still giving their input, and like we're using recycled materials. And so maybe having, asking students specifically in your classroom like what they want to see. And the last one was inclusion in the classroom. A really neat app I saw. I forget what it was called. They have a bunch of circle bubbles, balls it's an app, so you can pull it up on your computer, and it was like a noise meter. So if the students were being really, really loud, then the balls would be flying everywhere. If the students were quiet, the balls would stay still. And you can adjust it based off of noise and stuff like that. So I find that really beneficial, because some students, they can't handle with the noise. They can't handle the noise and stuff like that. So I kind of tied into classroom organization, because that's a strategy that you can use to, you know what, hey, it's silent reading time. Like, some students need that focus. We're going to use these bubbles to help us focus. So kind of tied in that way. I chose this topic because I found that classroom management is said to work in tandem with classroom organization. So I want to have a classroom that I'm able to, for all the students to be able to learn the most that they can in the classroom. And I think that organization will help reduce distractions, and it'll help take into account students' needs as well. So even just organization, like thinking about where the desks would go, that helps with, say if a student has like physical disability, they're now able to participate fully in the class because I've taken into account that, okay, their wheelchair needs to get by, something like that. So I found it really important. yeah, so parting words, I would say, is consider the physical environment to be another teacher. It can motivate children, enhance learning, and reduce behavioral problems. So I hope you learned something from my TED Talk. I've never done one of these before, so it's quite interesting talking to yourself. As you saw, my alarm went off too in our house, or it's quite finicky. So hopefully you're able to take something from this.